get all of our corn July, usually when they start harvesting, 1st of August, something like that every year. But sometimes this time of year we run out, we run a little short, so we try to get with local farmers and just get enough to get by till the new crop comes in. So today that's what we're doing, just getting about 1,000 bushels. We using this little cart, so we didn't have to set up a whole lot of equipment around the feed mill. It's dustier this time of the year. I mean, the corn's been in the bin for 11 months. So this is the feed mill. It's been here since 1960. Not really much of anything's changed. The blender here, the molasses blender, was changed in the 80s. Let's start at the beginning. Y'all saw the corn dumping already. It goes in the pit and we store it in the grain bins. From the grain bins, it comes out of another auger and goes into the cart here. And then from the cart, it goes on the ground. And that's where the corn gets ground up. And there's a big blower motor right here, and it blows it up this pipe all the way out the roof, out, up, above, and then into a cyclone up there. And then it comes down into the mixers where you switch it from either mixer just pop on the roof. And all the other ingredients is pushed in right here at the bottom. We're about to make some cow feed just so you can see how it goes. And if you want molasses on your feed, you open the side doors up on either mixer, and it goes into the blender that I was talking about. And there's a big molasses tank in the back that we store it in, and it's pumped under the floor through here, and it's blended. The molasses shoots onto the feed, and it's mixed onto the feed through this blender, and it comes out.
Y'all make your own feed?
Oh yeah, chicken feed, cow feed, horse feed.
But it's y'all own blends, everything's
right,
y'all own business?
Deer feed, anything. We custom mix stuff for people. Butcher calf feeds. Pretty much anything. If we can get the ingredients, we can mix it.
Awesome. Now what is this?
The bucket was added on to years ago, and it holds just the right amount of weight to make 2 tons of feed. It's already pre-weighed in 100-pound sacks.
You said everything but corn gets swept in the inside?
Right, swept in. Now, some things, we'll grind some beans or a beef crate supplement. We grind it in and it mixes with the corn as it's going into the mill because we're grinding it. How are we gonna turn the meal on? Hey Josh, stand down there and turn the corn on. So the whole, everything's electrical. There's a big pile of trash right here. We hadn't burned it all. But everything's 3-phase, and this is what turns on the hammers. This one turns on the mill. This one turns on the fan. pounds, top of the glass is 1,500 pounds. Dead on every time.
Okay.
So with this specific mixture, we use 1,500 pounds of corn. And when the corn gets there, we'll turn it off and we'll add the other ingredients. This is what the corn looks like. So once it goes through the mill, it's ground really fine, it's more palatable, and it mixes way better with other ingredients. So if we sack up feed without molasses, it comes out either this style or this style. If it's not quite 50 pounds, you just add a little bit. Or if you put too much, you can take a little bit out and throw it back in the mixer. And it's all sewed with handheld sewing machine. And then we stack it either on a wooden pallet or a little black pallet that everything's stacked on that's laying down, just so we can move it around easier. Just about everything is done this way. Cow feed with molasses, deer feed with a little bit of molasses comes out the molasses blender. And in some things we use that auger that's up there in the air for. You can let it down and auger it into super bags or creep feeders, things like that.
Oh.
But the molasses comes in an 18-wheeler and they pump it in the tank. It goes underneath the floor. And there's a pump underneath the floor. It's an electric motor with a pulley on a molasses pump. And it comes up under the floor, it comes to here, and this is the gauge. So now it has pressure. So now that the molasses, it's not flowing, but it has built pressure. It won't start flowing until you open the valve. Once you open the valve, it comes out on top and there's some spray nozzles, and it sprays it onto the feed. And when it sprays onto the feed, there's actually paddles that these are turning. Those paddles are turning, and it's mixing, it's blending the molasses on the feed. That's why it's called a molasses blender. So for molasses, you have to put the sack on here. Like this. And then once it's coming out of the mixers, it goes into the blender, and the blender's running. You'll shoot the feed in this side. When it gets close to 50 pounds, switch it, take this sack off the scale over here, weigh it, and then as it's running, filling that sack up, put another sack. You add another sack. So it's a continuous cycle.
Raw materials are placed into the feeding hopper, with a pulse dust collector removing airborne dust particles. Raw materials are elevated by a bucket elevator to upper-level processing facilities. These materials are distributed to the screw conveyor by the pneumatic three-way. Materials are distributed to the batching bins by the screw conveyor. A computer-controlled PLC system precisely weighs and proportions ingredients according to formula ratios. Pre-mixed materials are transported via an underground screw conveyor to a secondary bucket elevator. Materials pass through a permanent magnet separator to remove ferrous contaminants. Impeller feeder delivers materials into the hammer mill. The impeller feeder controls the feeding rate by adjusting the speed of the motor. The hammer mill pulverizes materials into uniform powder. Users can control the size of raw material crushing by replacing the sieve. The pulse dust collector removes the dust adhering to the filter cartridge by injecting compressed air. Ground materials are transported via a screw conveyor to a secondary bucket elevator. Ground materials are elevated via bucket elevator to temporary storage bins. Workers manually add premixes through small ingredient ports into the mixer. Multiple ingredients are thoroughly blended in a twin-shaft paddle mixer. Oil and molasses are added to improve the appearance and flavor of feed, promote animal feeding, and enhance immunity. Uniformly mixed materials are conveyed via scraper conveyor to bucket elevator. Then mixed materials are conveyed via bucket elevator to magnet separator. Mixed materials pass through a magnet separator and a pneumatic to pre-pelleting bins. The material enters the ring die feed pellet mill. Material enters the conditioner through a feeder. High temperature steam sterilizes and matures the materials. Conditioned material is compressed between rollers and die to form pellets. Interchangeable die specifications enable production of species-specific pellet sizes. The pellets are transported to the counterflow cooler. Pellets are cooled to ambient temperature in a counterflow cooler. A discharge mechanism extracts cooled pellets from the cooling chamber base. For chick feed production, cooled pellets pass through a roller crusher for size reduction. The pellets transported to the bucket elevator. Then pellets are elevated via bucket elevator to the rotatory grading sifter. A rotatory grading sifter separates finished pellets, while undersized particles and fines return for reprocessing. Finished pellets are transported to the finished product bin through pneumatic three-way. Finally, the products are weighed and packaged using an automatic bagging system.
Machines you will need to start producing your own poultry feed better and cheaper. The first machine you will need is the hammer mill machine. We use the hammer mill machine to break down macro ingredients like corn, soybean meal, GNC, and PKC into the desired grain size according to the age of your chickens. This ensures that the feed particles are of the right diameter for your birds. The second machine you will need is the mixer. As the name suggests, the mixer's job is to combine the micro and macro ingredients, such as corn, soybean meal, lysine, methionine, dicalcium phosphate, toxin binder, acidifier, choline chloride, egg colorant, and more into a homogeneous mixture. The third machine you may need is the pelletizer and crumble machine. This machine converts your mash feed into pellets or crumbles. However, using a pelletizer isn't compulsory, especially for layer farmers. You might also want to consider a conveyor system. This will automatically transfer ingredients from the hammer mill to the mixer, saving both time and labor. For on-farm millers looking to keep things simple, these are the major machines you'll need to get started. Finally, don't forget about power. You will need a 3-phase generator with a capacity of 15 to 30 kilovolt amperes. If you are interested in learning how to produce your own poultry feed, register yourself or your staff for our upcoming training. You will be taught scientific feed formulation from the basics to advanced techniques. Thank you.
Are y'all ready for this?
Welcome to our Lima 1.5 to 2 tons per hour poultry feed pellet production line. A compact, efficient, and fully automated system. The entire setup covers 11 by 9 by 7 meters, perfect for modern feed factories.
Hendrix feed your birds are eating every day, come and see where it's actually produced. Hi, I'm Ifnaya, and if you've been following this factory tour series with me, then you already know this visit has been full of surprises. So if you're here from part 2, grab your popcorn. It's about to go down. So this is where the main production actually happens. When we entered here, I was just smiling and giggling like a small child that went to an amusement park for the first time. I was curious and excited. I didn't even know where to look first or how to behave. It was honestly a lot to take in. But here, you can't just move around freely. You remember those yellow lines I told you about? Here, you must stay inside your lines. If you shift small, they'll quickly call you back because these machines here, no be play. Oh. As we proceeded, I started seeing the different types of feed they produce. They produce feeds for fish and poultry. For fish, they have feeds for catfish and tilapia. Then for poultry, they produce different types of broiler feeds like pre-starter, starter, and finisher. They also have protein concentrates for farmers who prefer to mix their own feed. Then they took me upstairs for a better view of the production floor, and that view was something else. From up there, you could see the whole place in action. And the interesting part is that the machines are doing most of the heavy work, so everything looks very seamless. It's not like your regular feed factories where workers are carrying feed bags up and down like they're preparing for wrestling. Here, you can tell the company really prioritizes the health and safety of their workers. Next, they showed me how the ingredients move through the processing system, from conveyors to mixers and through the different stages of production. After that, we entered the control room. As the name implies, this is the heart of the entire plant. Everything happening in the factory is monitored from here. Temperatures, mixing processes, production flow, all of it. You know, seeing all this gave me a completely different level of respect for feed production. It made me realize that every bag of feed farmers buy actually goes through a very serious and controlled process. Then we kept going deeper into the plant, and they kept showing me machines I had never seen in my life. One of the machines they showed me was the oil coating system, which coats the feed to improve its quality and nutritional value. All around the factory, you also see safety instructions on the walls, reminders about procedures, safety rules, and best practices. Then we went downstairs where they were actively producing broiler starter feed, and guess what? They actually let me join in. I won't lie, I was very excited. I even felt proud producing some bags of feed myself. But let me also be honest, after about 7 or 8 bags, I was already tired. So massive respect to the staff working here every single day. You guys are the real MVPs. Then we saw another session where Hendrix broiler feed were being loaded for farmers with sabi better thing. They also showed me the emergency exit just in case anything goes wrong. Thankfully, they've never had to use them. And just when I thought the tour was over, they took me somewhere else I honestly didn't expect, but that part I'll show you in the next video. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Follow me and turn on your notifications. Bye.